It's the kiss heard around the challenge world. I'm talking about this one, but I'm also talking about this one. Oh, boys! The challenge, an underdog story. Hello, welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that has the audacity to say your name. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 35 Total Madness Episode 3. And in this episode, we learn that Swaley has a blanket with their faces on it. Some people don't know what a burn vote is, and Fessy is me when drama is around, just standing in the background eavesdropping like crazy. Now, let's start off where this episode starts off with, and that is at table 1 in the kitchen. People are talking about how to deal with the twist that TJ has thrown in their lap about going into an elimination to get a red skull to get into the final. They're trying to figure it out. They deem that the best way is to get in the tribunal so you have all the opportunities at your disposal. Whether you want to volunteer yourself to go in against a certain somebody in a certain elimination, or if you just want to vote in somebody that you nominated. At table 2. There's Cookie and major flirtation happening between Dee and Jay. And Jay is a little apprehensive because he's like, Rogan's in here, and he seems like he's still kind of into you. You still have emotions with each other. I don't want my game on the line. And that's when Dee says, you only live once. Now, a lot of things are happening in the house, but I want to get straight into this week's daily challenge called Decode and Detonate. And in this daily challenge, everyone has their own code that they're going to have to decipher. They're going to have to memorize a couple of symbols at a time as they're going to run over to a decode station, trying to figure out what their symbols mean, decode their code. Then they're going to get the thumbs up from TJ if it's right. Then they get to go to a detonation station where they hit a buzzer, blow up a truck, signifying that, hey, I won, I'm in this week's tribunal, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. The first 2 players to do this wins into the tribunal, and then they get to pick a third wheel. So everybody starts off this daily challenge with their own strategy at hand. They're thinking, okay, I'm gonna memorize 2, 3, or even 5 symbols at a time. I have enough stamina, I can make as many trips as I can or need to. They're coming up with songs, trying to figure out what ad hominems they can use to remember all their symbols. There's a lot of different strategies, a lot of things are happening. This is taking a good while. Swaggy C gets the first check of the afternoon, however, it is not correct by TJ standards. Then CT gets the check, and he gets a thumbs up. He runs over, presses down the detonation, and it explodes the truck up there, and he's thinking that he is the coolest guy ever, and he's walking away with the first spot in the tribunal locked up. And now there's only 1 spot left as everybody's trying to figure out what to do. Everybody's still running around. And that's when Bailey decides to work smarter, not harder. And that's when she looks over to Jenny's code and she has a few symbols that are similar. She's checking them. And then she also sees that there's a code that maybe she doesn't have. She fills it in, hoping that Jenny is correct. TJ gives her the thumbs up. Bailey runs over, hits the detonation, and explodes the truck, securing the second spot in the tribunal as CT and Bailey secure their spots with safety, and they get to choose the third person. That's when it comes down to deliberation between CT and Bailey. Bailey wants her man, of course, to be in the tribunal with her because that means he's safe and he can't be thrown in unless he wants to go in himself. He's a rookie. They might want to get him in because Jay already has his red skull and people might want to be gunning after him. So CT, of course, doesn't want that because then it's going to be 2 against 1. If they go up and try to vote somebody in, they have all the power. If both Swaggy C and CT want to go in, Bailey may be the tiebreaker, and of course she's going to take the side of her man. CT would essentially have power, but with no power whatsoever. So he's trying to figure out a way to sweeten the pot for Bailey, but also keep some of the power for himself. Bailey is saying, we don't want to go into the elimination. He doesn't want to go in, I don't want him to go in, so you have the first crack at it if you want to go into the elimination yourself. CT succumbs to it, says, yeah, let's bring in Swaggy C. And so the tribunal this episode is Swaggy C, Bailey, and CT. At the nomination ceremony, Bananas takes the first shot and votes in Jay. That's when Jay decides to reciprocate it and vote in Bananas. This is where we're getting a back and forth between people voting for Bananas and Jay. And leading into the nomination ceremony, all the guys were ready to say Jay's name. However, all the females wanted to keep Jay safe, so they decided that, hey, we're gonna vote in bananas. And the person leading the charge on this was none other than Ashley Millionaire Mitchell, and Dee because she really likes Jay. But Ashley and Bananas early on in this episode were going at each other. They're at war. Bananas wants to put Ashley's game on blast, saying that she's a shapeshifter, that she goes back and forth through all these alliances from season to season. But, I mean, how can you blame Ashley? She's trying to get numbers on her side. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna make it far into the game if you have some form of numbers. Both are trying to stir the pot against one another, and it seems like as though this is going to come to a head earlier rather than later. But as people are voting, that's when things take a turn for the weird. As Jordan votes for himself, then people are putting a burn vote on Nelson, but then Nelson starts getting more and more votes to where it's not turning into a burn vote anymore. And then Nelson and Kayla get into a heated argument right in the nomination ceremony because Kayla earlier talked to Corey and Nelson saying, hey, people are talking about putting in bananas, and Nelson took that as Kayla's voting in for bananas and kind of is trying to blow up Kayla's game, maybe inadvertently, maybe actually trying to do it. Corey puts everything to bed saying exactly what Kayla said, but Nelson's getting more and more votes, and now it's a three-way race between Jay, Bananas, and Nelson, and that's where this whole plan is getting turned topsy-turvy, and people just start voting in Jay because people really backed off of this plan, took their foot off the gas, and Bananas is pleased with themselves, Jay is pissed, Ashley is pissed, and that's when everything turns over to the tribunal, who now has to nominate 3 people. But upon hearing what has happened, CT really wants to go into the elimination against Jay, but they still have to nominate 3 different people. That's when they nominate Nelson because he got a good amount of votes in the nomination ceremony. They put in Rogan because Rogan wants to go into elimination against Jay because he thinks he can win, and for what happens at the bar earlier in the episode. Right before the tribunal, we go do a Halloween party at a bar, because I guess it's October in where they're shooting the challenge at this point, and so everybody's dressed up at the bar doing their thing, and that's when Dee decides to plant some kisses on Jay. Jay is reciprocating right in front of Rogan, and Rogan is pissed. Rogan is heated. He is moving beds. Once back at the bunker, that's when he's talking to CT saying, throw me in, I want to win. If you're not gonna take the shot, give the shot to me because I feel like I can win, and I kinda wanna rip Jay's head off. There's something weird going on between Dee and Rogan, as Dee wanted to get out Jen because of the flirtation with Rogan. Then she kisses Jay on the next episode, and it really feels as though they're playing a game with each other, and bystanders are going to get hurt from this more than each other. I'm going to put that away. Back at the tribunal, they even put in Bear because, hey, Bear loves the attention, and being nominated and having a one-on-one with an audience of 3 in a room by themselves would probably be good fun. And it kind of was, as he's throwing Nelson right under the bus, trying to save Kayla, and it's really, really funny, especially when he said, if it's a puzzle, throw Nelson in. I just thought that was funny. Like, he did his homework on the challenge and was like, hey, if it's a puzzle, you know what to do. Then we get into Nelson. Nelson is saying, hey, I don't want to go into the elimination, even though I'm known for it. I have 8 wins, and you can check my resume. And then we get into Rogan, who is really, really, really wanting to go in against Jay, and even has a heated argument with Jay in the kitchen later on, which I felt like, hey, Jay, you're kind of poking the bear. But we go into the elimination, the purgatory, and that's when TJ turns it over to the tribunal, and he's like, does anybody want to volunteer to come in against Jay? And that's when CT calls his own number, comes down, and is like, I'm gonna get that red skull, I'm gonna win, I see some rope, I'm really good at knots. If you haven't seen Invasion, check my highlight reel, and I will get this win. And everybody else thinks that he's going to get this win. They are 100% sure. I don't even think it's like a 99.9% sure. I think everybody's like 100% sure that CT is going to win against Jay. We'll have to see what happens, as they are going to be taking place in the Take Shelter elimination. And what they're gonna do is that they each have a bunker, and they have as much garbage like cinder blocks, ammo crates, pallets, barrels, rocks, all this kind of stuff, ropes, chains, and they're going to have to barricade this thing. They have 20 minutes to do as much as they can to put as much stuff in front of their doors as possible. Then after the 20 minutes is up, they're gonna switch bunkers. Then they're gonna have to try to rip up everything in front of their doors, open the door fully is the key word, fully open the door. Then they get to run inside. The first person to ring the bell on their opponent's bunker wins this elimination, stays in the game, gets their red skull, and the other person is going to be sent home. Sayonara, adios, bye-bye. And then that's what's gonna happen. Wow, that really took the momentum out of here. The 20 minutes starts and CT automatically goes for the ropes and chains. Of course, that's what he's gonna be having the most advantage on, while Jay is kind of just throwing a lot of garbage in front of his door. And I mean, both have really good strategies. CT is really tying up these knots, going around the building. Then he's putting up rocks and barrels and everything that's really, really heavy that he thinks Jay can't move on his own. Whereas Jay is really just throwing cinder blocks, everything in front. Like everything that's up there, he's putting at least one of everything on there, tying them all together with these ropes, having the chain around it. And everybody is thinking to themselves that Jay is struggling just getting up these cinder blocks, that he's gonna have a really tough time winning, that CT's got this in the bag. I mean, the first like 2 minutes into this, Jordan's like, yo, CT, the game's over. 20 minutes is up, both have formidable bunkers, just totally fortified. They switch and Jay is having to do this knot that's like the worst knot in the world. Like, oh my gosh, I think I would like want to bash my brains in if I had to untie this giant rope that has just been tied around this building over and over again. With Jay's bunker, it's almost as though CT is doing like housework. It's like in an attic where you have to get a box that's all the way on the other side and you have 50 boxes in front of you and you have to move every single box around. I mean, it's getting tedious. It's tedious, monotonous work, and you can tell CT is just getting it over and over again, like, oh my gosh, I just gotta move another cinder block. CT actually opens up the door to Jay's bunker first, but he still had this metal chain on, and the rules clearly stated you have to fully open the door. Instead of untying this chain, he's actually trying to break it. I mean, it's a pretty like not thick chain that he's trying to actually rip the door open to actually break the chain so he can widen it open. That's when CT, I guess, didn't put a knot on the other side of this door. Jay was able to untie it, open the door fully, first, jump in, hits the buzzer, wins, a huge underdog win. Everybody is absolutely flabbergasted, shocked, and completely taken aback that Jay was able to win this specific elimination against CT. You never count anybody out. Any given Wednesday is what I say when it comes to the challenge. CT is exhausted. Both guys are fully sweaty. And it's also raining a lot, and it's also very cold there, as Jay is like hearing TJ say how impressed he is and proud of him he is. He's like shivering. By gosh, Jay wins his second red skull. He's gonna get it on his helmet. CT is heading back home to Miami. He is frustrated with himself, but he understands what happened. Jay won fair and square. And CT in his ending confessional even says that, hey, I gotta get stronger. The next time you see me, I'm gonna be in better shape. I love it. Let's get that dead bod in shape. But what did you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What do you think about the daily challenge? What do you think about the tribunal? What do you think about CT volunteering himself? Do you think that was the good move? That was a good shot to take? Or do you think that, hey, maybe it was too early to take that risk? Let me know that in the comment section below. And are you upset that CT has left the game this early? This is like the second time in 3 seasons that he's left super early on. What do you think about it? Let me know that in the comment section below. I hate watching CT leave, but he took his shot. He was really, really close to winning, and I have nothing but respect for him. But what do you think about this whole episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. And what do you think is gonna happen next time on this challenge, as Bear is going to get on a lot of people's nerves? And you know what? That's what makes episodes fun. But thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more challenge content, more content in general, as I'm gonna have some brief histories, top 10s, top 5s, fantasy cast videos, deep dives, much, much more coming out very, very soon. And join me on Fridays for Tiny Table Talk for the challenge season 35 Total Madness episodes. And join me next Thursday for the challenge Total Madness review and recaps, and also Survivor review and recaps. But until then, peace.